Okay. All right, let's hear it for Annalie Walter.
Walters? Yes?
Brody Vernon on tenor. And Miss Kayla Williams on trumpet. Okay, so that was entirely my fault because I wasn't up here directing traffic as I should have been. So Kayla's worked very hard on this solo.
We're going to the bridge.
We're going to the bridge. She gets a chance to play her solo. We had a bit of a traffic jam, and then I couldn't get over to really help. Let's hear her play her solo. She worked hard on it. See what I was telling you? Such a beautiful sound, such nice control. All right, that was Logan Zimmerman on tenor for you. And Tom Bollinger back there on drums. I don't think Tom's in the program, so sorry, Tom. So again, we had Ben Martin, Nick Orman on trumpet for you, and Dan Till on Barry. Yeah. Mr. Jake Yoder. Don't Get Sassy, name of that chart. And you heard from Mason Sumner on trumpet. Yeah. You also heard from Annalie Walter on piano at the top. Matt Tina on soprano. And Adam Hankey on guitar. All right. Mr. Logan Zimmerman. one of America's, the most prolific composers. I was going to say one, but he's not one. He is the most prolific American composer in the 20th century. We'll see about the 21st century, was Duke Ellington. Duke Ellington was many things. He was a pianist, composer, arranger. He was a great band leader, and he was a great jazz ambassador. He'd come up during the stride piano era, kind of early jazz, then was at the very beginning of swing, and he basically continued to have a big band for 50 years. Duke Ellington was born in 1899 and died in 1974. For 50 years, he had a working jazz band. And that's saying something. When you have, of course, we've got more people than would be in a normal jazz band, usually 17, 18. When you first started with the big bands, they weren't so big. Sometimes it was only 12 players, 13 players. As swing became America's pop music, they moved into large dance halls for people to come and dance. And it was our pop music. It was, they were the rock stars, so to speak, of the 30s and the 40s. And so in order to fill up, make enough sound in order for the dancers to hear and everything, they had to have a bigger band. So that's why it ended up being called a big band. And so Ellington, very early on, understood that the guys that he picked for his band, he picked them for unique qualities, like maybe his trumpet player was a great player with plunger. Maybe, the alto player was really good with scoops and slides and that kind of stuff. Johnny Hodges was that person. Bubba Miley was someone that Duke Ellington worked with to create this tune that we're about to do entitled East St. Louis Toodaloo. And this was a tune that, Ellington recorded for a number of labels from 1926 to 1930. The first time it was recorded by Ellington was 1927, and it was one of the very first examples of what they would become and start to call his music jungle music. So he had 3 or 4 different, no, there's more than that, but different concert books, styles of music that he would write, and one was this exotic music. Ellington was the first black group to play in the Cotton Club. And the irony was he could play in the Cotton Club for white audiences, but of course nobody, where he lived could come and see him. So he was one of those people that helped bridge that divide of segregation. Benny Goodman was the other person that did that very same thing. But he recorded this in 1927, and then many, many, many years later, a great rock group of the 70s, 80s, 90s, they're still doing stuff, Steely Dan, they decided to cover it in 1974 on an album called Pretzel Logic. And of course, they're not a big band, so it was really cool to hear how they would rework it. They had keyboards, they had a steel guitar, and how many of us have heard of Peter Frampton? A few folks, huh? And Frampton developed this style of playing this what's it called? Talk box, that's it. I was about to say vocoder, and that's not right. A talk box. Basically, what it was a hose that went from the amp, and he put it in the side of his mouth, and when he would play, he would kind of sing, and that sound would be channeled into his mouth, and he'd be able to go wah, 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 that kind of thing. So when you leave, you should go put in East St. Louis Toodaloo, Steely Dan, and listen to how they rethought this tune. This is the original form. We've got bass saxophone over here. For some reason, he wrote a section for 3 soprano saxophones. The fish horn, the dreaded horn to play in tune, 3 soprano saxophones. Tuba was the bass, but we've also got another bass that will be helping us on this. Mason Sumner will be playing the plunger material and everything. So here is East St. Louis Toodaloo. Did you catch the wedding march at the end? The funeral march, right? So that tune featured Jake Yoder on clarinet, Josh Hedinger on trombone, Mason Sumner on trumpet, Brody Vernon on soprano sax, I think that's it for that. So we have one more tune for you, but before we do that, I would like to thank our chair, Dr. Greg Jones, for all of his help, his support, his guidance. He's really been very helpful in trying to build the jazz program and continue to get us out in the public. And we're very, very fortunate to have such a consummate musician and supporter of what we do. So let's give him a hand, please. I'd also like to thank our dean, John O'Connell, who's also very supportive of us. We're lucky to have him. Mr. Tom Wilson and Lisa Zirkle and their crew doing sound. And I need to thank my colleagues in the faculty jazz, Dr. Ken Johnson on guitar, Professor Eric Swikert on percussion, Brad Coons, bass, and Jim Steele on piano. Let's give them a hand. And I've been very fortunate, you know, we have colleagues here that we collaborate with one another, and we really do support one another. And great case in point is Dr. Dan Timbers, our band director. He's been filling in for me when I couldn't be here, and he's done a wonderful job. So thank you, Dan. Let's give him a hand as well. So, two things. The last tune we've got for you, Ben Martinez, or better known as Ben Martin, wanted to do a Kenton chart. And finally, we have the brass to do a Kenton chart. And one of my favorites has always been Pegasus. Hank Levy wrote the tune. Kenton was known for his tunes in mixed meter, odd meters, that kind of thing, and just this wall of sound. I played in a band in Denver. One of Kenton's Barry bass saxophonists had a group. His name was Joel Kay, and he had a group called Joel Kay and the Neophonic Band. And we played in clubs in Denver. So loud, it was just mind-numbing. But the music was great. We won't be so loud, though, okay? We've chosen something much more subtle. This is going to feature Ben Martin and also Matt Tina on this tune, Pegasus. I will say, when these guys are done, they've been instructed to strike the stage before they go and see mom and dad or friends, et cetera, et cetera. So please let them do that so that we can get things rolling and folks can get out of here. Okay, I appreciate that support. Thank you. We will start, I forgot, this is going to feature at the very beginning our bassist Casey Weaver on electric bass, something that we just actually did today. So he's going to wow and woo you here. the IPFW Jazz Ensemble. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for letting us work with your sons and daughters. They're phenomenal workers. Thank you.